Well, here we are with the Paul and Paul Out of This World Invitational. This one is going to be different, and it could be a lot of fun. Okay, here we go. This is going to be my choice for the Star Wars build, and I'm using the TIE Fighter. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get it out of the box. Oh, let's see here. So there was a lot of stuff you could choose from, a lot of different spacecrafts, there were cars, there was all sorts of stuff you could choose from. I wanted to go with something a little more iconic, and what's more iconic in the Star Wars world than the TIE Fighter? Not much, frankly. So that was the craft that I decided I wanted to do. It was one that I couldn't find in my local stores. I had to order it online, but it got here really quickly, and here we've got it, and we can go ahead and start getting to work on this thing. Now, cool thing about it is it comes with a little display base, which I'm going to make use of, but for right now, I just need to kind of take a look at it, and then I'll put it to the side. Now, I've never seen one of these, okay? I've never had one out of the box or anything like that, so I didn't know quite what to expect, but I was pleasantly surprised. Mattel and Hot Wheels did a really great job with these. This is metal. It is not some jinkety plastic thing. This is the real deal, and yeah, this is solid, man, and I love it. This is gonna be a fun little project. It's metal. So the casting is, in fact, everything I hoped it would be, and it should lend itself really well to the plan that I have for it. So I had an idea for this build, came to me pretty quickly, and you see the mock-up I did in Adobe Illustrator, and it's not going to come out exactly like this. I kind of make some changes on the fly, but it's going to come out like this. And the first thing I wanted to do was get some decals designed. So I have those at the ready, and I'll get to them when I need them. But for now, it's time to get to work. And the only thing I have to do is I got to kind of have to figure out how to take this thing apart, because I'm not sure. You know, I've never taken apart a TIE Fighter before, so we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I guess no more dilly-dallying. Let's get to work. There is one rivet in the back of the little crew bubble in the middle. That's the only access point that I can see, and you can see that the crew pod in the middle is split to half, and it's held together by that one rivet. But that's as far as I can tell. I don't know how the wings attach or anything like that. But it's the only thing I see, so for no other options, I'm just going to go ahead and drill that rivet out, and we'll kind of see what happens. I won't need a Vix Bit here or anything because this is a dimpled rivet, and so I'm just going to put a little drop of oil on the rivet head, and with an appropriately sized drill bit, I'm just going to start drilling into it until it looks like most of the rivet is gone, and then I can go ahead and try and get this sucker apart. All right, I've got the end of the rivet all drilled away, and now I've got my little persuader, and I'm going to try and worm it into the gap between the two pieces of the crew pod and see if I can pop this apart. Just a little brute force will do you, and sure enough, the one half comes off the other, and there it is. It's just one piece. It's not a big deal. And then inside of it is a little, like a bearing of some, like a bushing or something, and that's what is going to hold this onto its stand. Now you see that once that is apart, the wing just kind of pulls right out of a tube, and it looks like what happens is the wing has a little post with a nub on it, and you push it through the tube, and then when you put the two halves of the body together, it locks that into place. So yeah, it just comes apart pretty easily once you take out the one rivet. Now the other wing is kind of stuck there, and I think that's just a matter of paint or whatever. It just kind of locked itself in, so I'm just going to have to wrestle that thing apart. But yeah, it really wasn't that big a deal. I wasn't sure what I would be facing here, but one screw, drill it out, and the thing comes apart. There we go. So once the other wing breaks free, I now have this apart, and like I said, it's not real complicated. It's two wings, two body halves, and that little kind of plasticky, rubbery bearing that goes inside there. And that's all there is to this casting. There's not a lot here. So yeah, we're good to go. Everything's apart. We can move on. Let's drill this. Okay, so while this is not a Hot Wheel, it's a Hot Wheel, and you know I'm going to proceed as if it were, well, oh, I guess a Hot Wheel. So I guess what I need to do is I need to drill out the post and prepare it for a screw so that later I can put this back together. So using all of my Hot Wheel techniques, a little dab of oil, a drill bit, and I'll drill down into the post so that I can go ahead and get this tapped out. All right, that's all drilled out, and with another little dab of oil, we can go ahead and take our tap handle from Brightvision and we'll tap this post out. If you've watched my videos, you know I always run a screw into these things, and that is to protect the work that I've done to the post. I don't want it getting all gunked up with stripper or flexible paint or anything like that. I don't want it to get damaged. I don't want to run into an issue later on. So putting a screw in right now lets me make sure I protect that hole that I've made, and that I also know that everything is going to work just fine. So at the beginning, I showed you I had some decals ready to go, but I didn't have a size. So before I put this into the stripper, I want to go ahead and get everything sized up and get some measurements so that I can finish up work on the decals while this sits in the stripper. And this is actually going to be pretty easy to do. All I need to do is measure the one panel, the top panel, and I'm going to measure the wide part side to side, the narrow part side to side, and then the distance between the two of them. And then I can take that into Adobe Illustrator, make a little template, and then I can fit all the decals within inside the boundaries of that template and scale them, and everything will come out just perfect. So that's all I'm doing. I got a little drawing that I've made on this little paper towel, and I'm just getting the measurements that I need so that I can do this and get the decals right. Once all that's done, I can go ahead and take this to the stripper and work on decals. All right, so before I head to the computer to finish up my decal work, I want to get all these parts into the citrus strip. I don't know how, the special castings from Hot Wheels take an inordinately long time in this stripper to get all the stuff off. And because this is kind of a special casting, I'm worried that this is going to take longer than normal. So I want to get this in to the stripper as quickly as possible. Just so I am not held up waiting on this. Now, look at that. The two wings sitting in what would have used to been called the warm liquid goo. This would have made an epic goo drop if I had the old goo, but I don't. So this is what I have, but look at this. This is going to be fun. I'm sorry. I know. I just love that. I'm sorry. I'm such an idiot. I can use one of the body pieces to push it the rest of the way down in there. But, yeah, this is a lot of fun for me, and I know I'm just ridiculous, but I can't help myself. Okay, so I let everything sit in the stripper overnight, and then the next day I got everything out, washed it, got it thoroughly dry, and now it's time for a little Tamiya Fine Primer. Now, I'm using the white fine primer because it's really going to bring the details of my casting out. It's really going to make everything pop. And here's something. Because I'm using the white, and you saw that a couple of my panels were supposed to be white, this comes out so great that I don't even end up painting white. I just leave it with the primer color because it looks fantastic. And in fact, I liked it so much, I don't even do the red and blue either. I just go with all white panels. Okay, so after the primer has dried, now it's time to mask everything off because I need to paint the gold. And I gotta be honest with you, this was the biggest worry for me with this project because finding a good gold paint it's not easy, okay? And so I'm a little concerned about how this is going to come out, but there's nothing for it but to push forward. So that's what I'm going to do here. I ordered a rattle can of paint that you see here, and this is what I'm going to use, and my fingers are crossed. So anyhow, in preparation for using this paint, I need to get all these panels masked off. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm covering the entire one side of the panel, the outside of the panel, with the blue painter's tape, and working it into the grooves really nicely. Then, once everything's in there nice, I'll take my little X-Acto knife, and I'll just use the molded-in casting and follow those lines around each panel to trim this down. And then I can peel away the excess, and hopefully, if I did it right, all of the little panels will be nicely masked off so that when I go for the gold paint, it should look fabulous. Now, another change that I'm going to make here is I'm not going to mask out the back side. That's going to go gold. So everything's going to be gold except the exterior panels. They're all going to be white. So just a few little minor changes as I go. Because I'm feeling the white and gold thing. It feels imperial to me, if you get my drift. So that's what I'm going to roll with, white and gold, and hopefully it still looks really cool. Now I have to tell you that the peeling away of the scrap wasn't always perfect. There were some places where I had a hard time getting the cuts to meet up. So the trick is to just move slowly so you don't destroy something that you need. So that's all I did is I moved slowly. If I got to a sticking point, I took my X-Acto and I just kind of recut around it and did whatever I had to do to get the scrap tape to come off. and leave behind the other stuff. And if an edge lifted up, it wasn't the end of the world. I just kind of pressed it back down in there. Before I paint, I'm going to burnish everything down one last time anyhow, so it really doesn't matter. But the point of this is to just move slowly so you don't screw up all of your work while you're doing it. So, second verse, same as the first. And basically, I'm going to just repeat everything I did on the first panel. I'm going to repeat all of those steps on the second panel so that I get both sides masked off and I can paint all of this at the same time. Both wings and both body parts are going to get this gold paint. And, man, I hope it's everything I hope and dream for. So again, you know me, I'm not a rattle can guy, okay? I use airbrushes and stuff like that. I'm not a rattle can guy, but finding the gold I'm happy with was like pulling teeth. And I found this stuff online, and it looked like it might be good, so I ordered it, and I'm going in blind here. You know what well, maybe you've used it before, I don't know, but if you haven't, you know as much as I do about this gold, and my fingers crossed. Right out of the gate, though, when I got this, I had to order it on Amazon. They had shoved it in too small a box, the cap was broken, so I had concerns. But as soon as I started laying this down on the first wing, I was amazed. I was blown away with just how beautiful this gold was coming out. Now, I didn't put any clear or anything over this, and I'll tell you why. I was worried about it changing the color of the gold, and I was also worried about it changing the way the white panels look, because frankly, they look beautiful. I love them. They look fantastic. And so I did not put anything over the top of this. And I probably should have waited a whole nother day because it's not wet and it's not taking fingerprints or anything like that, but it just feels a little bit tacky to me. It's weird because nothing's coming off on my hands. I'm not leaving marks in the casting or anything like that, but it was worrisome. I was worried the entire time I was putting this thing back together. So it probably would have been better for me to wait another day, and maybe that would have gone away. Then I could have put it together without being all freaked out the entire time. Because frankly, I've done a lot of work here so far. It may be going fast and it may not seem like there's a lot of work here, but there is. And I was just freaking out the entire time. But be that as it may, I'm going to move ahead. I'm going to get this sucker together. Okay, you had to kind of put a little bit of extra pressure on the two body halves because that little rubbery thing kind of held the pieces apart. So you really kind of had to squeeze down on it. So it was harder to put this together than you might think because you're trying to keep the wings in and trying to squeeze those body halves and then run a screw in there. It was not the easiest thing in the world, but I did get the screw in, and it's looking really choice. So now that everything's back together, I'm going to go ahead and set it on the base, and hopefully that works out fantastic. And if it does, I'm going to leave it on the base while I do the rest of this build. Okay, so here you can see, look how good that looks. Oh my goodness, look at that. You can see why I didn't put the red and the blue on there. It looks amazing. It really does. Oh, man, anyhow, so it's time for the decals, and I got to tell you, I'm feeling really excited about this at this point because it looks so cool. So I've got the decals. They're all cut out. Everything worked good. I used my iColor 560 laser to print the decals. And they're just the water slide decals. And we're going to go ahead and put them on. Now, there's so much texture in these panels. You're going to need setting solution and softening solution. You're going to have to really use every trick in the book to get these decals to sit down nice. But it can be done. It can be done. Don't be afraid. Just make sure that you have those nearby, because there is a lot of texture in these panels, which will really fight you when it comes time to do decals. So anyhow, you can see here I've got the decals very similar to what I had done in the schematic, not the schematic, but the layout, the original concept art. And yeah, I got the first ones on, and I'm just giddy with happiness because it looks so good. This is coming out exactly the way I wanted it to. I'm thrilled to death with this, and it's just making me smile. So over the next 24 hours, I did several coats of softening solution, just brushing it on and pressing the decals back down in there and making sure that they were fully set. And then all it is a matter of letting this dry. I'm not going to seal this because I don't want to change the look of it at all. So basically, after the decals are nice and thoroughly dry, I can call this one done. All right, here it is, my TIE Fighter Racer. This came out way better than I hoped. I really enjoyed doing it. It was fun to do something completely different. I had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out Paul over at Diecast Graveyard and his contribution to this out-of-the-world build. If you like this video, please give it a giant thumbs up, click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss one of my videos. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Until next time, I hope you have a fantastic, wonderful, out-of-this-world day. This is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying, be good.